Ohio State went to Ann Arbor and finished the job. This team was built to beat Michigan, and they proved it.
You are Locked On Buckeyes, your daily podcast on the Ohio State Buckeyes. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome in, Buckeye fans, to Locked On Buckeyes Live. It's the best show of the year after Ohio State's 27-9 win over the enemy, the Michigan Wolverines. I'm your host, Jay Stevens, veteran sports talk host, delivering passionate coverage about your Buckeyes. And as you can tell, I'm a little tongue-tied, but this show is also part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day, now the number one sports podcast network. As the Buckeyes are going to keep their number one label, the number one team in the land, it's coming after a very interesting game that resulted in Ohio State winning 27-9. We're going to dive into some of the stars of the game, from what Ohio State had to do and how they had to play in their win over the Wolverines, as well as some key moments that stuck out in my mind from today's game. But before we get to any of that, the drought's over, man. 4 long years of losing to Michigan, 4 long years of going and playing in this game and not coming up with a W. Also, 6 long years since Ohio State has lost, since Ohio State has beat Michigan. And here we are right now. It's Saturday afternoon. The broadcast is over. The game is complete, and Ohio State won. And it was a complete team performance. Guys are banged up. Guys played hurt. The weather, the people were wondering if the weather would be a factor in this game. It 100% was a factor. But the weather did not impact the Ohio State's play like some thought it was going to. Ryan did have a phenomenal game plan. Brian Hartline was phenomenal. Matt Patricia did the things we expected from him. And this team was built to beat Michigan. But being built to beat Michigan is one thing, because sometimes teams are built to beat Michigan and they don't win the game. Last year's team, I think, was built to beat Michigan. But the game plan and the coaching and the philosophy was a little bit different in that game, and it resulted in a loss. Today in Ann Arbor, Ohio State went in there and walked out victorious, had their heads high, because they did everything Ohio State asked them to do. It wasn't a perfect game, but the one thing Ryan Day has been asking all season long was for the players to play efficient and to find a way to win. That's exactly what we witnessed today. In the 27-9 win over Michigan, it wasn't a game where Sayin was 100%. He did throw an interception. It was the second pass attempt of the game. The first one was a weird throw. We were thinking, okay, I'm going to throw the ball to Cardinal Tate. Would I have thrown that ball? Maybe not, but he threw the ball anyway. Incomplete pass. Second pass of the game was thrown to Jeremiah Smith, and that was a pass that I don't think he would have thrown at all. If he could have that throw back, he would take it back. What happened after that? Jeremiah Smith didn't catch the pass. It was an interception. And then Sayin went 19 of 24, 233 yards and 3 touchdowns after throwing the interception. If you want to look at a guy and wonder if he is a dude, if he has what it takes to be an elite quarterback in the country, I know that we are not questioning it because people like us know that Julian Sayin is a dog on the field. But you're looking to see if he gets tested and what kind of moment would it take, would he have when the Buckeyes get punched in the mouth. And what you saw from Julian Sayin was he rose to the occasion. He kept his head high. He did not get down on himself. He kept pushing. He kept pursuing. And he kept being the quarterback that Ryan Day needed him to be. A 27-9 win in their house where the defense holds Michigan to not scoring a touchdown at all. That's another thing that I don't think really should get glossed over. Yes, Sayin's play was good. The running game was phenomenal. The O-line played out of their minds. But outside of any of that, an offense that is very strong on the ground. I know Jordan Marshall going out was one thing, but even Custall has been doing some things pretty good against opposing defenses. Couldn't get anything going today. Not only could Custall not get anything going, Bryce Underwood couldn't either. 8 of 18, 63 yards through an interception that Aikman Olsen got, 44% passing in this game. He was not good. I'm not trying to be mean, just to be honest with you. He wasn't good. Now, Jordan Marshall going down did alter the game plan for Michigan because when he was in the game, it was very, very clear that there were some things he could do that could take advantage of some of the holes at times in Ohio State's defense. But outside of that, he goes out. Michigan didn't run the ball with anybody else outside of Custall and Bryce Underwood, which I think is a coaching error. If I am Michigan in this game, I would have tried to do something to trip up the defense, throw some tricks out there, but they didn't try and do that at all. Why? Because the defense wouldn't allow them to. 4 years, no wins, losing every single game in that span. A 6-year drought since you beat Michigan in 2019. It's Jeremiah Smith's birthday, and all of that was a celebratory moment on this day, especially for Jeremiah's birthday, because Ohio State did what they have done all season, and they stuck to their winning formula. And I know at times the winning formula hasn't had the explosive plays in it, or it hasn't been the most flashy offense that you have seen under Ryan Day. But Day doesn't care about that. Ryan Day played the long game all season. He's playing the long game once again. Efficient football is winning football. And Ohio State's brand of efficient football is something that nobody has been able to stop or even slow down all season. All season. And what Michigan's defense is a good defense. I think it's one of the better defenses Ohio State has played all year. Could not contain, could not slow down this offense today. And hats off to Ryan Day, hats off to the coaches, hats off to the players, hats off to everybody. Because we on this show have been waiting for this moment for years. I've been hosting this show since 2020. So every time Ohio State and Michigan have played since I've been the host of said show, it has been a loss. 2021, okay, it's a loss, but you're not going to win every single time in this rivalry. 2022, a weird game. And I remember coming on this show, I was at my girlfriend's apartment, now wife, and sitting at the bar stool, and I was dejected. Why? Because that didn't make any sense. 2023, I remember the feeling I had in McCord through the interception and how dejected I was in that moment. And then last year, doesn't make any sense. Didn't make any sense at all. But here we are right now in 2025. Ohio State's a different team. Ohio State's constructed differently. They got coaches that have raised the level of coaching at Ohio State. And here we are right now to celebrate what these players have done. And Ryan Day said something in the post-game presser with Jenny Taft on the field that I think was very telling about his growth and maturity as a coach. Where Ryan Day said, he kind of paused when she asked a question. I think it was about his family, honestly. And then he said, we're going to win with humility. And he paused for a couple seconds. And I was sitting here wondering, what is he going to say? Is she going to try to hop in to take away from the dead air? She didn't hop in. She allowed Ryan Day to have space to think through his thoughts. And then he came out and said, we're going to win with humility. Now, I don't know if Ryan Day knew that Michigan was on the middle of the field, like almost blocking Ohio State from getting into the tumble. I don't know. But I think in his head he thought about last year. What happened on the field in Ohio Stadium? There was a flag planting on the field. There was a fight, and cops had to get in. And I believe pepper spray was going through the air trying to break up the players in the fight. And Ryan didn't want his players to go down that road this year after winning in Ann Arbor. You go there, you celebrate, you're excited, you get this monkey off of your back. These players that don't have a pair of gold pants finally have a pair of gold pants. And now you're looking at Ohio State and thinking, they're not doing something that happened a year ago. They're not stooping to the level of players on the winning side of last year's game. What they're doing, they're celebrating, they're excited. They won with the emotion, but the emotion didn't take over at times when it could have taken over. In Ohio State, their winning formula, they stuck to it. Efficient football is winning football, which I think is why everybody right now watching this show should have confidence next week in the Big Ten title game against Indiana, who is a really good team. I can't believe I've said that. I've been watching Indiana football my entire life. I never thought I would say that, but Indiana is a really good team. But the way Ohio State is playing right now, even when there are some issues and some hiccups along the way, they're able to overcome said hiccups and find a way to walk away with the W. And while the Buckeyes walked away with the W today, there are a few moments that stick out in my mind about why Ohio State was able to leave the Big House with a 27-9 win. This episode is brought to you by Omaha Steaks. The holidays always feel a little easier when you already know the perfect gift, and Omaha Steaks makes it almost too simple. Whether you're treating yourself this season or sending something memorable to family and friends, Omaha Steaks delivers handcrafted perfection right to their door. And this week is the best time to jump in because their cyber sale is here and the deals are huge. I've given Omaha Steaks as a gift before, and the reaction is always the same. Excitement when the box arrives, and even bigger smiles when everything hits the grill. The quality is exactly what you hope for. Incredible tender steaks, rich flavor, and meals that make hosting or weeknight cooking easier. And the variety is underrated. Steaks, burgers, comfort meals, sides, desserts. It's one of those gifts that truly fits anyone. Honestly, it's the kind of gift that brings people together. And you don't need to guess anyone's size. Save big on unforgettable gifts from Omaha Steaks. Visit omahasteaks.com for 50% off site wide and an extra 20% off select favorites during their cyber sale. And for an additional $35 off, use promo code college at checkout. That's omahasteaks.com. Promo code college. Terms apply. See site for details. Thank you all for tuning in to Locked On Buckeyes live after Ohio State's 27-9 win over Michigan, and for making Locked On the #1 sports podcast network. And Locked On is now the #1 sports podcast network. Ohio State is still the #1 team in the land. And there are some thoughts in my head that stick out from this massive win over Michigan. And one of those thoughts, the first one in my head, was what happened at the end of the first half, where Ohio State had a lead. It was a lead over Michigan, where you were thinking, and I was thinking in my head, would the Buckeyes go into the half with a 10-6 lead, or would there be a way inside the middle eight to extend said lead while making a stance and punishing Michigan? And what happened next was about a 5-minute drive where Sayin went 6 for 7 with 58 passing yards and a passing touchdown to Brendan Ennis on 3rd and 3. It was a 4-yard touchdown pass. Touchdown. But in this moment, it wasn't so much Sayin's precision and being able to be very particular with where he was calling the plays, audibling, and putting the ball in the right spot where only his receiver can get it. It was the way the Buckeyes are moving and leaning on certain guys to move the ball down the field. Let's go in sequence. There was an incomplete pass in here, but I'm just going to go on the positive plays for the Buckeyes. And Cardinal Tate caught a pass, a 9-yard pass to the right. Will Kashmir caught a big pass for 25 yards over the middle. And I'm not going to lie to you, I thought this was caught by Max Clare. Will Kashmir is not only a passing threat, but I think he has the ability, and he has shown that he can do that. But there are times that he is not called upon. But in that moment, he went over the middle, 25-yard gain, easy game of pitch and catch. And Will Kashmir caught a huge catch. Next thing you know, Bo Jackson, 16-yard run. Bo caught a pass to the left for 5 yards. 3rd and 5, Ennis catches the pass over the middle for 8 yards. Some more positive plays. 9-yard pass caught by Bo Jackson. 4-yard run for Bo. 8-yard run for Bo. 1-yard run for Bo. Here we are, 3rd and 3 on Michigan's 4-yard line. And Brendan Ennis and Max Clare do a great job of a pick route that wasn't illegal. Ennis catches the touchdown pass. And on that drive, 6 for 7, 58 yards, 1 touchdown. There were some key runs by Bo Jackson. The first one was the 16-yard run that was followed up right after Will Kashmir's 25-yard pass reception. And I think in that moment, that drive where Ryan Day is a coach that leans into the importance of the middle eight. Where there are some coaches that lean into the running game or the physicality or the O-line play, Ryan Day is very, very big on the middle eight. Last 4 of the first half, first 4 minutes of the second half. And in this moment, Ryan Day he could lean on Sayin to make sure that he gets the job done. Now, on the defensive side of the ball, because you would almost expect that there will be some moments where the defense would have to be very, very big. While Ohio State did come out and got the ball in the beginning of the second half, and they ended up punting the ball, when Michigan got the ball in the first drive of the second half, they went 4 plays, 26 yards, and the drive ended with the punt. It was a 1 minute and 47-second minute drive. I don't know why it took me a little bit longer to get that out. But outside of that, you would say you won the middle eight. You scored a touchdown. While the Buckeyes did not have a scoring drive when they came out of the locker room in the second half, the Buckeyes defense held strong and didn't allow Michigan to get anything going. Huge moment in this game, because that could have been a turning point where Ohio State had a 17-9 lead at the end of the first half. That could have been a moment where Ohio State didn't do the things they were supposed to do, didn't lean into the things that have got them to this point to have a chance to win this game. But no, they trusted their game plan. They trusted the preparation. They trusted their players. and the result was what we got in this game. The defense held strong. I mean, looking at the time of possession for Michigan in this game, they had one drive that was longer than 2 minutes and 40 seconds. That was in the middle part of the second quarter, where they had an 11-play drive for 54 yards, kicked a field goal in that moment. That drive was 6 minutes and 17 seconds. Outside of that, here are Michigan's drives after that in progression. 16-second drive that went into the half at the end of the first half. And then a minute and 47 seconds, 2 minutes and 29 seconds, a minute and 34, and then a 30-second play drive that resulted in an interception by Igbenogson that basically ended the game, excuse me. The defense was lights out once again. The numbers don't have to tell us that. Our eyeballs showed us. And while there was a moment where you kind of thought that Michigan could get some things going on the ground early in the game, not a lot to you. That run by Jordan Marshall in the first play of the game, internally, if I was not already confident about how Ohio State was going to go in this game, I would have been a little upset. But there have been times that teams have gotten some positive yards in their opening drive of the game. It's scripted. You work on that stuff all week, and so you almost expect that at moments that's going to happen. But I didn't really get a little too nervous. Not super, super, super nervous. Let's go there. I think the anxiety started to build a little bit, but I wasn't super, super nervous. No. Because there's a confidence in this team and a belief for what Ryan Day has done all year that they would just weather the storm. I mean, they were down 6-0 in this game. It was a 45-yard field goal by Zavada and then another 25-yard field goal by Zavada that had Michigan up 6-0. And a 6-0 deficit in this game where you know the weather is going to get worse. You know you have two guys on the outside that are banged up. That could be a recipe for disaster. But that didn't end up being the way. Ohio State outscored Michigan the rest of the way, 27-3. So there's more moments why Ohio State in this moment are just showing why they're able to flex their muscle and win. The biggest storyline every year in this game, and I didn't lean into it this week in preparing for the game because I didn't really think that Ohio State needed to win the rushing battle to win this game because of how strong they are, especially with how Michigan's rushing attack can be when everybody is healthy or even if Jordan Marshall were healthy. But Ohio State did win the rushing battle today, 186-100. The Buckeyes averaged 4 yards a pop. Michigan averaged 4.2. Averaging 4.2 for Michigan, I'm not really upset with that. Ohio State really flexed their muscle and leaned on the run late in the game where they had their three top receivers on the sideline. They at times had four tight ends and a running back, or they had three tight ends and a receiver being Bryson Rogers on the field, simply saying, we're going to go heavy, let our stars get their rest up for next week against the Indiana Hoosiers in the Big Ten title game, and let's go out here and just drain the clock. And that's what Ohio State did today. Time of possession in this game, massive win for Ohio State. The Buckeyes won the time of possession 40 minutes and 1 second to 19 minutes and 59 seconds. Another one for Ohio State. They outgained Michigan in total yardage, 419 to 163. So it seems like these numbers are things that you have seen all year, but you're wondering, is this going to be a sense of deja vu to where Ohio State is going to deviate from the formula that's gotten them here to have a chance to win the game and do what happened last year where their game plan was a little bit shaky, and the next thing you know, Ohio State doesn't do what they have to do to beat Michigan. That didn't happen. And we're going to discuss something that sticks out of my mind about the game plan Ohio State utilized today when we come back after the break. This is a live show after Ohio State. If y'all can't tell, I'm a little excited about their 27-9 win over Michigan. This episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Guys, the NBA is back, and there's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you missed the start of the game or want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score next to fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. It keeps every game exciting, especially when your team's making that late push. Right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. Once again, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So head to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Yo, I have waited a long time to do a show like this, so if I seem like a little too hype, I don't know if you could be too hype after a win over Michigan, especially after what Ohio State has gone through over the past 4 years. Since over the past 6 years. Well, I'm going to be hype. I'm going to be excited. I got a little drink here. Nothing crazy. Just a little bottle of water. Take a little break. Put some fluids in the system. And kind of reset a little bit. Because that's what Julian Sayin had to do early in the game. You're trying to look for a moment in this game to where the Heisman front runner by some, or some who is a favorite to be a Heisman finalist, is going to respond when punched to the mouth. First throw of the game, okay, incomplete, throwing to Cardinal Tate. I like throwing the ball to Cardinal Tate early in the game. I think they should have tried to run the ball within the first 2 plays of the game because that's what Ohio State does very, very well. Next thing you know, second play of the game, a little about Jeremiah Smith. Probably his worst throw of the game, worst decision. Result is an interception. And the way that Julian Sayin stepped up and responded when he was punched in the mouth and he got his own way was phenomenal. Once again, the numbers, 19-24 after the INT, 233 passing yards, 3 passing touchdowns, 73% passing. That's the sign of a guy that's heading in the right direction and a guy that you can lean on, like the Buckeyes, and lean on to lead him to the promised land once again. And in this game, think about the stars of the game. Not only was his play a key moment or a key sequence in the game, I mean, he's one of the stars that Ohio State needed to beat Michigan today. Think about his play and his precision, and even when the communication from the press box to down the field was stopped. Not sure what happened, if it was too many people or if it was the weather, I don't know. But somewhere along the way, the communication from the box to the field was cut. And Sayin didn't seem like he got flustered. He didn't seem like he was freaked out by the elements. No, the Cali kid was cool, calm, and collected and just kept marching down the field. Even when you bring in Isaiah West and C.J. Donaldson, and at times, not going to lie, there were times when Donaldson came into the game, and I was thinking, why is he in the game? This is not the part of the field where he should be in. I know Donaldson is trying to be Ohio State's short yardage back. If you want to try him in short yardage situations, do it on 2nd and 2. Not 2nd and goal on your own 3-yard line. Where he might get it on the first try, he gets better as the game is going. And I would rather get him in the midfield in that situation, especially on 2nd down, than 2nd and goal, your own 2, and you lose a yard, and now all of a sudden it gets a little bit harder to get into the end zone. So Sayin had a lot of stuff going on in his head where he wanted to get his receivers going and wanted to get guys like Smith and Tate a little success early on. That wasn't needed. That wasn't needed at all, because eventually Tate caught 7 passes for 82 yards. JJ caught 3 passes for 40 yards. Both had a receiving touchdown. JJ got his on his birthday. Carnell caught a big pass, 50-yard pass that was wide open, which is led by one. It was kind of created by Sayin's own ability to play the quarterback position, but also Tate's route running ability being elite, and the rest is history. Some other stars of the game, and this is not just one guy, it's a sequence of guys. It's everybody that played on the O-line in the tight end room. If I could give Buckeye leaves, and I don't have the Buckeye leaves here, the only thing that I have that is Buckeye that is next to me is the towel that I shout out to my wife for this, actually. She got it to me early in the year. I think it came week 2 or week 3. But if I could give a Buckeye towel as like a sign of a good day, a sign of a great game, I would give one to Nate Roberts, who had a phenomenal block on the left side, kind of kicking out. And even though Barham almost got to Bo Jackson, it was Nate Roberts' ability to make the contact in the way that he did and the timing of it that gave Bo Jackson the ability to miss a tackle and to allow him to get some positive yardage. Will Kazmary talked about him earlier. Big catch, and his blocking was phenomenal. Max Clare, once again, phenomenal. A great all-around game. Yeah, he had the drop to the left side, secure the ball before trying to turn upfield and get positive yardage after the catch. But he had a great game. All those guys up front, Phillip Daniels, Tegra, Carson, Monty, and Sarahville, I mean, y'all need all the towels, because if these are the types of things we're handing out here in a celebratory moment, say, hey, you're going to collect the towels, and by the end of the year, if you have a certain amount, you're going to get an award for your accomplishments during the season. Hey, they get all the towels for the game because they were phenomenal. Phenomenal. I don't know if there was a negative rushing, if there were like 3 or 4 negative rushing yard plays in this game. I'm not trying to be funny. Even if it was a no gain or a 1 yard gain, that was still a moment where Ohio State was able to move the ball down the field and sustain a drive. Phenomenal. There was a key moment in the game, and I had the drive on my paper at one point. The Buckeyes had a drive that resulted in a field goal by fielding a 20-play drive that went 85 yards that lasted 11 minutes and 56 seconds. What they did in that drive, taking the game from the 5-minute mark in the third quarter to the 8-minute mark in the fourth quarter, was not only sustain the drive, it gave their defense a lot of rest, but kept Michigan's offense off the field. And even though if you only score 3 points and you extend your lead just a little bit, that was your final time scoring, and Michigan now is in a mode where they have to pass. They 100% had to. But when you push them in an area where they need to pass the ball, what happens? You get what happened today. Defensively, we talked a lot about the offense today because, man, offensively, they were phenomenal. But defensively, Sonny Styles led the team in tackles, 6 tackles today. He also had a tackle for loss. Evan Olsen had that timely interception. He also had 5 tackles in the game. Some other key guys that I really think, Cade McDonald's running ability, Caden Curry, those 2 guys are always doing work in the middle. But to me, it's Arvo Reese and Caleb Downs. They're not near the top of the total tackles in the game. Caleb Downs had 3. Arvell Reese had 2. But their mere presence and ability to move all over the field, from Reese being on the edge or being on the interior, and even Patricia's ability to utilize multiple fronts. One of my favorite fronts that I saw today was Michigan going from left to right. Ohio State's defense had McDonald and I want to say an edge defender, not sure which one, at the top of the screen. Your defensive end on the other side with a 3-man front for the Buckeyes was a little bit wider, and it allowed Styles and Reese to walk up in, I believe, the A and B gaps. So you had a 5-man front, but you had 2 guys in between your nose tackle and your end on the defense's left. That's a nightmare waiting to happen because their presence on the field it really confused the picture for Bryce Underwood. He didn't know what to do. He really rushed some of his throws, made a lot of his decisions a lot quicker than he wanted to make them. And this is a game, Matt Patricia, hats off to you, young man. Hats off to you. Because what he did today confused Bryce Underwood. And even allowed the guys to settle in and know, even if Michigan scores a little bit, because you're not going to hold teams like this to 0 points. You're not going to. That's a good team. That is a team that has worked hard to get where they are. It's a talented team. And they can do things to make other people look foolish. You took away what they do best. And they didn't have a backup plan. Is that coaching? Absolutely. But also, you got to give credit to the defense. Because if they had a backup plan, the Buckeyes would not have allowed them to make that backup plan very successful. Yeah, Ohio State won today. Let me say it again because I feel like Ohio State just beat Michigan. For the first time in 4 years, for the first time in 6 years, after a 4-year drought of winning the game, Ohio State is on top. They are victorious. And they cemented their spot in the Big Ten title game. If you are trying to go to the game, I encourage you to buy your tickets now. I know a lot of Indiana fans that are going to be at Lucas. I don't know them specifically. I know there will be a lot of them inside Lucas Oil Stadium. And as far as geographically, Lucas Oil Stadium is about an hour away from Indiana University. It's roughly 3 hours from Columbus. So you just think about that. There's a 2-hour difference between the distance between the stadium and the 2 schools. There are going to try to be a lot of Hoosier fans. They're going to try to drown out Buckeye fans. Don't let it. Don't let them happen. My mama is a graduate of Indiana University, and I'm going to say, if I said it to her, she heard this. She would say, Jay, you're crazy. I'm like, no, mama, this is for real. This is for hardware. Y'all saw how hard Ohio State played for hardware today in a pair of gold pants. Imagine how hard they'll play a week from now against an arrogant Curt Cignetti in the Big Ten title game. Thank you all for making Locked On Buckeyes a part of your college football Saturday. And your second listen on this college football Saturday should be Locked On Big Ten. Greg Cheeman breaks down the most exciting conference in college sports, from the rivalries to the championship and every game in between. Find Locked On Big Ten on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. You can find Locked On Buckeyes on that same platform. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. You can follow me on any social media platform at jstevens07. Send every email to jstevens317@gmail.com. Ohio State just beat Michigan 27-9 and cemented their spot in the Big Ten title game. What's the best thing about being 12-0? A chance to go 13-0.